Alright guys, we're back with another waiver wire video so I can help you find the best and most important players to add to your teams. And just be advised, the early season waiver wire flurry is over. We have to work much harder now to find impact players on the waiver wire. And that's why I'm here to help you guys out. But before we get going, if you guys aren't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I mean it this time. Subscribe to the channel. I have the data. Most of you guys that watch do not subscribe. So I'm telling you right now, subscribe to the channel. Also, drop this video a like, sound off in the comments, and remember, channel memberships are open for personalized advice. Also, for anyone that's new here, for this weekly waiver wire video, I have 5 big player profiles at the top, followed by specific breakout sections for you guys in shallow leagues, deep leagues. I have a closer report, a stash list, and a drop list. So anything you need is going to be here in this video. But all right, now let's get into it. The first player on the big list this week, Mick Abel, starting pitcher on the Twins. I love Mick Abel. If you guys were here last year, I loved Mick Abel then. That was one of my worst calls of the season. I loved Mick Abel through the spring. He did not reward me with that first start of the year blow up, but he's starting to get hot right now. And the whole reasons I was ever into Mick Abel are still true. He has a legit fastball that plays up in the zone and can miss bats. He has multiple breaking balls he can use to vary his approach against hitters from each side of the plate, and he has a passable changeup to attack left-handed hitters with. There really should be no reason why Mick Abel can't get major league hitters out on a regular basis and possibly rack up the strikeouts in the meantime. And I mentioned how bad that first start was after Mick Abel was the best pitcher in baseball this spring. It was terrible. He got blown up. It was horrible. He was also following an opener, so a bit of a different look and feel for the appearance for Abel in general. And then he wasn't so good in his next start either. But I do want to remind everyone that start came in near blizzard-like conditions, but the last 2 starts, he's been incredible. Gone 13 innings, hasn't given up a run with 16 strikeouts and 3 walks. Most recently, though, he has best start of the season against the Red Sox this past week, where he went 7 innings, struck out 10. And the biggest thing I liked so much about Abel in that start was how much he trusted his fastball, how much he used it to attack hitters. It produced 7 of his 15 total whiffs. He continued to beat the Red Sox hitters high in the zone with it, and he especially used it to just go at the right-handed batters early on. Against right-handed batters in the start, Mick Abel did not face a single 2-0, 3-1, or 3-0 count. So again, he attacked them early, he stayed ahead, and he put them away when he had to. Otherwise, this start also showed off one of my favorite things about Abel, the depth of that repertoire. All 6 of his different pitches forced a whiff in this game, including his 2-seam fastball, forced this really ugly swing and miss on Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Just ate him up, rising up and in on him. And while it's a pitch he's been phasing out a little bit, finding the moments and the times to use it, it's just a good sign for a guy, again, with a depth of repertoire and an understanding of how to use each of those pitches. The only thing we have to keep looking out for with Abel is command issues. He's had huge command issues in the past, back in the minor leagues with the Phillies. Last year when he came up, the command was good, and then the command got bad. So far this season, the command is very, very good. That's going to be probably the most important thing for him to hold up his value, because the stuff is really good. The repertoire is really deep. No concerns about that. And right now, this week, he has a 2-start week on deck against the Mets, who are reeling, and the Tampa Bay Rays, who have a terrible lineup. So it's a really good week to pick up Abel if one of your league mates panicked after one of those first 2 poor starts. Next up is another starting pitcher I'm very excited about, is Noah Schultz from the White Sox. The first big pitching prospect call-up this year, which, woo, we love a nice prospect call-up on the waiver wire video. And Schultz has downright nasty stuff, but he just had a really not-so-good debut. But I want to caution you guys not to focus on the debut, because, again, it was bad. He didn't get out of the 5th inning. He walked 4. He gave up 3. He only got 4 strikeouts. But the context and the shape of that game, I think, are very interesting to understanding who Schultz is as a pitcher and who I think he can be. So this was his major league debut on Tuesday night. It came against the Tampa Bay Rays. In that debut, Schultz had a 33-pitch first inning. And the reason that first inning really has stuck out to me is because the Rays clearly had a plan to just not swing against him. Just going through the first few batters of that game. Yandy Diaz, the Rays leadoff hitter, took the first 2 pitches of his at-bat. Jonathan Aranda, the second place hitter, took the first 4 pitches of his at-bat. Junior Caminero then walked on 4 pitches just after that. Then after that, Ryan Vilade took the first 3 pitches of his at-bat, and then Ben Williamson took 3 pitches before laying down a sac bunt. Not all of those pitches were balls. In fact, a lot of those plate appearances, Noah Schultz threw a strike among one of the first 2 pitches, but those Rays hitters were like, we're going to sit back and see if this guy can actually throw strikes against us, because that was a big problem for Schultz going back a few years ago in the minor leagues. The walk rates ticked up to like 15%. It looked very bad for the huge draft pick and high prospect. But he got that control and command and check in the minor leagues last year. He carried that through with him to AAA this year, and right after that Ben Williamson at-bat in his debut, all of a sudden Noah Schultz was like, that's it, I'm going to start throw BBs. From that point on, after the 5th batter of the game, Schultz started 12 of the next 13 hitters he faced with a strike, 10 of which were in the strike zone, 2 of which were chased out of the strike zone. All of a sudden, he was like, that's it. My stuff is nasty. You're getting the ball in the zone. I'm not going to let you do anything with it. And that's great. We like to see that confidence. We like to see him settling in because his stuff is downright nasty. He sits 96 miles per hour from the left side with this really wacky crossfire action. I don't know how the White Sox over the last few decades have continued to breed these monstrous lefties with this crossfire action between Chris Sale, Garrett Crochet, and possibly now Noah Schultz, but I hope they keep doing it because these guys are super fun to watch and just makes him such a tough at-bat. He's just bearing down inside of you. He loves to crowd a right-handed batter with fastballs and two-seamers and cutters, just stay right up in their grill, not really let you get out over the plate. And those 3 pitches, the 4-seamer, the 2-seamer, and the cutter, made up about 2/3 of his total pitches to right-handed batters from AAA so far this season. But in this debut against the Rays, they accounted for 82% of his pitches against right-handed batters. And the 4-seam fastball was his only offering to force a swing and miss against a righty here. Otherwise, he likes his back foot sweeper against those righties. And in AAA, you show the changeup that was at least decent and kept them honest. He didn't throw any in this start. That's going to be a huge deal for him as a left-handed pitcher with huge velocity who likes to crowd hitters. To have a changeup that can possibly fade away from them, that would just make him totally unhittable. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed, keep an eye out if he actually can develop that. But otherwise, the lefties don't have a chance against that fastball trio and his big sweeper. And again, I'm just super encouraged by this stuff. I'm super encouraged to have watched him get over the hump while that first inning looked like it could have been a disaster. The only thing that could possibly stop Schultz, apart from the White Sox being basically the worst team in baseball, is that his workload is going to be monitored very tightly. As he found a groove in the middle innings of this game, he got pulled with 1 out in the 5th, coming off a strikeout once he got to 82 pitches. So it seems like he's on an 80-pitch limit, at least for right now. So keep that in mind, but I still want to stick him on my bench in 12-team leagues because there's a chance he can go ballistic the rest of the season. Another left-handed pitcher coming up next, it's Reed Detmers of the Angels. Very heavy pitching focus in the big list this week just because a lot of pitchers out there I like, but Detmers is someone I'm hyped about to start the season. I was in on him as a breakout, and I've been really encouraged by what I've seen so far. Coming from the bullpen, though, a little bit worried, a little bit cautious about how the stuff was going to play now returning to the rotation. But I love that his fastball is held firm at 94 miles per hour. 93 miles per hour is the average fastball velocity for left-handed pitchers so far this season. Plus, his slider is still nasty. That pitch is his bread and butter, and his command is good overall. So again, right there, that's enough for Reed Detmers to be a solid starting pitcher. But things might have gone into hyperdrive in his most recent start against the Yankees, where he went 7 innings, allowed 1 earned run, struck out 9, and didn't walk a single batter again in Yankee Stadium against that crazy lineup. The fastball and slider were both still great, worked together really well, missed bats, went high-low with them, but the thing that changed might have been Reed Detmers' changeup. I don't know what got into him, but that changeup was about 84, 85 miles per hour, compared to being about 80 miles per hour on average heading into that start. It forced the most swings and misses out of any pitcher's repertoire in that game, and he just kept nailing that spot, low and outside, over and over and over again. Also impressively from Detmers, him learning, getting more comfortable as a starting pitcher again. He didn't bust that changeup out until the second time he went through the batting order. Then once that happened, he gave the hitters a new wrinkle, and that kind of gave him the little jet stream to have his longest start since April of 2024. I also love the potential with that pitch because it tunnels really, really, really well off his fastball. Those two have the exact same spin axis, so it's very difficult for a hitter to pick it up out of his hand as long as Detmers kind of maintain the same arm angle and arm speed when he's throwing the two of them. I think he's just a really solid pitcher with a lot of upside for more. I like the little up arrow in a lot of the Angels right now. I think it's crazy that right now Reed Detmers, if you guys play in an ESPN league, is only 16% rostered, especially considering his relief pitcher eligibility for points leagues there. That guy's literal cheat code right now. And he has a huge test this Sunday, possibly as you guys are watching this, in San Diego against the Red Hot Padres. I'm really excited to check out. Next up, we have the only hitter on the big list this week is Angel Martinez, outfielder in the Guardians. Martinez fits the archetype I love from an early season pickup because he's a guy that's always had pretty good bat-to-ball ability, and right now he's finding more power than he ever has as a major leaguer. Mainly evidenced by the fact that the 7 hardest hit balls of his entire career have all come in just the 3 weeks he's played so far this season. That's a very, very real and legitimate power surge, especially considering the fact that he now has a 110 mile per hour max exit velocity, which is 3 miles per hour harder than his max exit velocity heading into the season. And he's already done that 110 2 times. One was off Riley O'Brien, closer on the Cardinals, and the other off Brian Wu. So not cheapies, not easy pitchers square one up against. Very real from Angel Martinez. And also, those bad balls were not beaten to the ground. Those were both lifted with at least a 13-degree launch angle. So we're making meaningful contact harder than we've ever made it before. On top of that, his bat speed's way up from the right side. Martinez is a switch hitter. That bat speed's gone up a few miles per hour, better than league average now. But not all of these great batted balls are just coming from the right side. And what theoretically would be the handedness he hits less often at, only 3 of those top 7 batted balls came from the right side. Neither of those 110s came from the right side, because I just told you it was Wu and O'Brien. Those are both right-handed pitchers. Angel Martinez hit those from the left side. But the Guardians have a lot of confidence in him right now as a righty, where he's hit second in their lineup against 5 of the 6 left-handed pitchers the Guards have faced so far this season. There still are some holes in his game. He's never really been a tremendous hitter as a lefty, but again, I think there's a lot of things happening under the hood right now that would tell us he could be better. And just to reiterate, we love seeing this power jump from guys who've already made lots of contact. Martinez is running a very low strikeout rate this season. He's always had a very low whiff rate, great bat-to-ball ability, a bit of a free swinger. He likes to chase a pitch, but that also means he's being very aggressive on pitches in the strike zone. He's always had a knack for pulling a bunch of his fly balls. He gets regular playing time in the outfield, but last year he got a lot of playing time at second base, so with one of the weakest positions in fantasy baseball, Martinez is eligible there. Huge boost. He also is always good for a bunch of stolen bases. Really fun target right now who we're seeing tangible growth with. All right, now last up on the big list is Spencer Arrighetti, starting pitcher on the Astros. I already talked about Abel in this video, so I might as well run back Arrighetti as well. Probably 2 of my worst calls from last season that you guys never let me stop hearing about in the comments, but that's fine. We're back for more because we still objectively like these players, and I loved watching Arrighetti just dice up the Rockies in season debut. He struck out 10 in 6 innings, only allowed 1 earned run, and okay, I get it. It's the Rockies outside the Coors Field. Can't go crazy about something like that, but the thing I always liked the most about Arrighetti was his feel for spin. The way he can just spin different breaking balls, especially a sweeper, a slider, a curveball, mix them up against hitters from both sides of the plate, and be effective with them. In this start, he forced 20 total swings and misses. 16 of those came against his curveball. He had that pitch absolutely rolling. He just kept breaking them off low and below the zone. The Rockies kept chasing it, looking around like they couldn't believe what was going on. And it was working so well, he just kept going back to it over and over again. He threw it for more than 50% of his total pitches against left-handed batters and 38% in total in this game. That's the highest rate of curveballs he's had in a single start in his entire career. And he was willing to use it in every count, every situation against the lefties. He had a lot of faith in it. He was feeling it. It was feeling good. And he kept going back to it, and it kept working. Now, this is only one start. I'm really curious to see what Arrighetti looks like next time out, and he is heading into a 2-start week against the Guardians and the Yankees, so we really want to hold on tight if we decide to put him in our lineups for that one. But in the small sample, some slight pitch movement changes. Basically everything, literally everything except his cutter was moving more to the glove side. But again, this was small sample and it was only against the Rockies outside the Coors Field. So want to see more. But Arrighetti is a guy who had a great run of success 2 years ago in the second half. He was a big breakout pick, at least of mine, heading into last season. I even liked him coming off the injured list. It was kind of a season from hell. Happy to flush a toilet on that. And think right now in this Houston Astros rotation, if he pitches even moderately well, he'll have a spot to call his own for months. But all right, that was the end of the big list. But like I told you guys at the top, now we're going to have a lot of small breakout sections to help you out depending on what type of league you're in. First up, these are the players that are not rostered enough in shallow leagues. I'm using rostership rate for ESPN leagues on this. I went a little more hitter heavy here because I went more pitcher heavy on the big list, but Jordan Walker's a superstar. 86% is too low. I don't care if you're playing a 6-team league. Jordan Walker needs to be rostered. This guy right now looks like he can be an easy top 30 hitter for the rest of the season. Same goes for Emerson Hancock, 71%. Huge breakout early. I kind of missed him because I missed the first week of waiver wire stuff this year. Lower his arm slot, looks nasty doing it. 71% is criminally low. Then we have Brian Reynolds, reliable vet, 69%. He just kind of looks back to normal. 69% I think is too much in response to how bad he looked last year. Parker Messick, 67%. He was on this list last week. His rostership rate has gone up like 10 or 12 percentage points. I wonder why. Maybe because he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning. The guy's nasty, does not get respected enough. Borderline top 30 pitcher in the league at this rate. Probably a top 40 pitcher, though, for being honest. Riley O'Brien, 65%. Absolute, no doubt, bona fide closer on the Cardinals. Probably a top 10 closer going forward. Otto Lopez, talked about him last week. Really good, big improvements. 58% at second base eligible when he has his bat-to-ball ability, his burgeoning power, and stealing bases like he does. Gotta raise that number. Joe Adell, 45%. Just looks even better than he did last year. Michael Soroka, 42%. Almost made the big list this week, Soroka, but he was pitching on Friday night. I'm recording this on Friday afternoon, so I don't really want to risk it with Soroka just in case he got bombed. I was going to ruin this video. Then 2 of my favorite breakout picks, Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ashcraft. Chandler has struggled this year, but I think he's going to get on track. Ashcraft's been gross. No way he's got to be 40% rostered. Same Ramon Laureano, leadoff hitter every day for the Padres, 12-team viable, 39%. Then a bunch of catchers here. Francisco Alvarez, I talked about him a lot last week, and then Dylan Dingler, my Buckeye brother. Both these guys are under 40% rostered. I think they're both rock-solid 12-team catchers at this point. Same with Liam Hicks. I just wanted to say his name, but he's like 70% rostered at this point. But these are guys who have taken a big step forward, look a lot better under the hood. I think they should be rostered in basically every single league. Next up, we got the closer report, which I'm going to talk to you guys about things happening in the world of relief pitchers, just in case you need saves. And just in general, the closer situation in Major League Baseball is a catastrophe right now. I'll never remember the closer situation being this bad. Between Edwin Diaz's velocity falling, Andres Munoz giving up saves, Devin Williams' ERA jumped up 6 runs this week. Kate Smith has been giving up runs. Daniel Palenti is now on the injured list. It's a catastrophe up and down. I think one of the spots that's the biggest catastrophe is what's going on with the Brewers bullpen. Between Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe, two guys who we kind of considered some of the 15 best relievers in the league heading into the season, they've both been dreadful. Uribe is getting more save chances recently. Angel Zerpa grabbed the save chance recently as well. I don't know who's getting the next chance, but I definitely favor Uribe over McGill at this point. Then Jordan Romano for the Angels blew two really ugly saves this week. I just don't think he's a very good pitcher. Unless you're really desperate for saves, I would stay away from the Angels bullpen. Brian Baker on the Rays, he's 100% their closer. He has great underlying stats. He's someone who should be trusted a lot moving forward. I mentioned Daniel Palenti going to the injured list. I think the Cubs are going to split their closer role in half in response, with Ben Brown getting a lot of the looks, but Caleb Thielbar getting looks against left-handed batters. And lastly, again, desperate for saves, very deep leagues, rotisserie leagues. Joel Coolnell on the Athletics, he's taking the closer role. Strange pitcher, sinker baller. I don't know what's going on with him. We're going to ride it till the wheels fall off, though, if you really need saves. Next up, we have the stash list, where I'm going to talk about guys in the upper minors or coming back from the injured list who could possibly help your teams, who maybe in a deep league is worth stashing on your bench. A couple minor league pitchers right here who I think are getting shots sooner rather than later. Didier Fuentes on the Braves, Christian Scott on the Mets, Robbie Snelling on the Marlins, and also sneaky J.R. Ritchie on the Braves. I talked about Fuentes and Scott last week. Both look really good in AAA, and both of their major league rosters probably could use a back-end starter sooner rather than later. Snelling is disgusting on the Marlins. I talked about him a lot in my off-season content. I truthfully think he's one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, and the Marlins will have an opening in the back of the rotation soon. Snelling will take it, and I think he'll be a very viable fantasy pitcher right after that. And then J.R. Ritchie just had a really nice start in AAA. And again, that Braves rotation is terrible, so Fuentes, Ritchie, a lot of these guys are going to get opportunities through the second half. Past those guys, Max Clark and Colt Emerson are the two big prospects right now in AAA who are going to get a call-up soon. Both of them, depending on the list you see, could be top 10-ish guys. Clark is more of a defensive dude, but he makes tons of contact. I think he's at least going to be a good hitter and provide speed and be on the field every day because of that defense. Emerson's got crazy upside. The power's legit. He might swipe a couple bags. The bat to ball is really, really good. He's so young, but he just signed a monster extension. And Jerry DiPoto said he'll be in the big league some point soon. He said that openly, so he will be. Then some possibly forgotten about injury stashes, Dylan Cruz and Anthony Volpe. Just these guys will, I think, have a good chance to be decent players. Definitely depends on your league depth. Definitely depends if you have IL spots or not. But if you want to get a little tricky, maybe give one of these guys a chance. I think they can both be mixed league viable by the end of the season. And then just keep an eye on Justin Steele, working through his rehab. He'll be back at some point. Cubs need a starting pitcher. And in very deep leagues, think about Grant Taylor. White Sox reliever, they said they were going to stretch him out to be a starter. Then they said they weren't going to do it. It's like a little snip, snap, Michael Scott thing. I don't know. The guy's stuff's electric. Even if he's throwing 3 innings at a time in a deep league, you could find value in that. Speaking of deep leagues, here are the deep league ads for this week. I want to start with Colt Keith again. I really like what Colt Keith is doing. I really want to put him on the big list and feature him because we're seeing rising power, rising bat speed, good bat to ball, good play discipline, but he just doesn't play every day. And if you're not playing every day, you're really not mixed league viable, especially when the team doesn't value him as a defender because he's a bad defender. So again, it's probably deep 12-team leagues, anything more than 12 teams, daily lineup leagues too. But Colt Keith, I want to like him more, but he's just not playing enough to really jump onto the big list. Also, same with Jose Fernandez. Not that he's not playing enough. He's missing a game here and there. The bat to ball is amazing. He's been really exciting since coming up for the Diamondbacks, but the swing and miss is terrifying. I still don't know if he's drawn a walk. I'm going to have to check up on that one again, but I like him. I don't love him still for a deep league. Gary Sanchez is ripping the crap out of the ball right now. He's playing every single day for a Brewers team that kind of needs help at first base and DH and catcher. And while he's hitting, he's definitely going to be in the lineup. Then you got Sam Antonacci. Really weird situation where it seems like his promotion to the White Sox got leaked, and the White Sox may have gotten like a little bit moody about it. They might have delayed his promotion, cost the poor guy tens of thousands of dollars, but whatever, he's up now. He's like a souped up version of Chase Mydroth, where he's really, really, really patient, but better bat to ball skills, better power, made a name for himself in WBC. Want to see a little bit, though, before I really advocate for him in shallower leagues for the big list, but Antonacci is a good deep league pickup. Then you got Lenny and Sosa, just traded from the White Sox to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays have some hitting magic. We kind of know they do. Lenny and Sosa is a guy that has plus bat speed, decent power, refuses to draw a walk, but right now the Blue Jays are very injured, so Sosa's getting in the lineup. Then 3 red-hot bats. I don't know if it's going to continue, but especially most of these guys multi-positional eligible. Actually, I think all of them are multi-positional eligible. In Oswald Peraza, Jeremiah Jackson, Ildelarmo Vargas. Vargas, Jackson, Peraza, insane weeks for these guys, ripping the cover off the ball. Again, none of them have like the underlying power or the play discipline metrics that make me think this is going to last. But in a deep league, get a hot hitter who's eligible multiple positions. Sign you up for that in a second. Also want to tell everyone to watch out for Hao Yu Lee. Could be a big list guy next week, just called up by the Tigers. Some exciting batted ball data in AAA. Decent plate discipline. Want to see where he fits in on defense. Want to see how much he plays every single day. Because he could get stuck in a short side platoon. But again, just want to see that real quick. Then I got a slew of pitchers who are all pretty interesting to me right now. Steven Mass, Justin Robleski, Cameron Ledzinski. Matz is nice. He's pitching every 5th day. Changeup looks great. Justin Robleski just diced up the Mets, so I don't know if you can really take that seriously because the Mets are so bad, but I like Robleski's stuff, and pitching for the Dodgers is always great. And Lazinski has come out of the gate on fire. He's following an opener, but his command has been nice, really nice. Pirates team kind of can't do anything wrong right now either, so again, take a look at all these guys in your deep leagues. Then just some other hitters, want to throw them out there. Mo Ballesteros in the Cubs, great bat. Been a very strong platoon. As a lefty DH, he just doesn't ever play against left-handed pitchers. Even if a lefty comes into the game, Matt Shaw will come up for him as a pinch hitter. So again, doesn't have a big role, but in a deep league could be valuable. Dom Smith, crushing the ball right now. I don't know if it's going to last, but he's red hot, so might as well do it. Luke Raley, same thing. Luke Raley's always been kind of just like a tooled up dude. Great power, speed, just can do a lot of things. He likes to get hot and then go really cold. Reese Hines, recently back from the minor leagues. Really unbelievable physical tools, but really scary swing and miss. Got the swing and miss back in check at AAA this season, like a little bit. Now he's come to the Reds. He doesn't have a hit yet back in the week of play at the time of recording this, but just keep an eye on him just in case there's a power surge in his future. And MJ Melendez, back from the dead, has been in the Mets lineup for 2 days in a row now. It's like the only guy in that team that can hit. I don't know. The Mets have a lot of guys on the injured list right now. The team's just playing like general crap anyway. They're horrible. I'm so pissed off about it. But if Melendez keeps hitting, he'll stay in the lineup, at least in a strong side platoon role. Now, I've given you guys tons of players to add, so I have to give you some to drop. My biggest drop right now, Tatsuya Imai. I would drop him in any league. I basically even would drop him if I had an IL spot. If I would just look for someone else to use for the IL spot. He looked terrible. The repertoire doesn't look deep enough. Really weird stuff coming on with him personally where he's fired 3 interpreters already. So he's not acclimating to American life. He says arm fatigue has come from his emotional state. It's just really strange. I don't think he's a good enough pitcher to wait around for. I'm also kind of there with Kodai Senga right now, and I'm going to list off tons of Mets I'm dropping right now. But Senga's velocity has kept dropping after a really great first start of the season against the Cardinals, and he just doesn't have enough in his repertoire to be a really good pitcher if he's not throwing 97 miles per hour to strike zone. And then he's nibbling, he's getting scared, he's pissing me off. So's Brett Beatty, so's Mark Vientos, so's Jorge Polanco. I'm dropping like all those Mets right now. Beatty looks lost at the plate. He was a big deep league target this year for me. He looks dreadful. I advocated picking up Mark Vientos a few weeks ago. He looks dreadful. Jorge Polanco plays like 2 days a week, but the Mets won't put him on the injured list. He looks dreadful. Can't stand the Mets right now. Sorry for the tangent. Noelvi Marte sent to the minors. Drop him. Ryan Pepio now is on the 60-day IL. This was the weirdest injury ever. Really making me upset because I was super in on Pepio this year, but I guess you probably got to drop him. Cade Cavalli and Matthew Liberatore, 2 pitchers I like objectively. Haven't shown much this year, especially Cavalli. He's looked terrible, actually. Liberatore just kind of looks mid, so I guess drop them. And then I've talked about a lot of catchers who I think are now 12-team viable, so we have to think about catchers who we consider to be 12-team viable preseason who might not be anymore. And I think the big ones are Yanner Diaz and Salvador Perez. I'm weirdly more confident in Perez than Diaz, even though Salvi's like 35 years old at this point. But I like Dingler, I like Alvarez, I like Hicks more than both of those guys. And then I'm done with the Phillies. Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, Adolis Garcia. These guys are not valuable in fantasy baseball. Get them off your teams. But that's it, guys. It's another waiver wire video in the books. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. So much growth recently. So many views recently. You guys are the best for that. But if you're not subscribed, subscribed. I know you guys are not subscribed. I have the data. I've been seeing it. I'm looking right at you right now. Subscribe to the channel. I'm telling you. Subscribe. Just kidding. Let's be nice. That's it. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time.